It started with a message at 11:47 p.m. I was folding laundry in our bedroom when my phone buzzed. It was from him, my husband, Michael. Normally, a late-night message wouldn't alarm me, but this one made my stomach twist. The message read, "I don't know if I'll make it home tonight. Trust no one." I froze, folding the shirt in my hands. My husband was never cryptic. Something in the words chilled me to the bone. I dialed him immediately, but it went straight to voicemail. Panic set in. I tried to reason with myself. Maybe it was stress from work, maybe a joke, but no. The urgency, the fear behind the words, it was real. Minutes later, I received a second message. "They're watching. If anything happens to me, remember what I said. Don't ignore it." My hands trembled. "Michael," I whispered into the empty room. I grabbed my car keys and drove to his office, praying he was still there. The parking lot was empty. His car was gone. His office lights were off. And then I noticed the elevator camera feed flashing. Someone had tampered with it. That was the last concrete trace of him. After that, Michael disappeared, leaving only messages and an ever-growing sense of dread. The next morning, I went through Michael's study, hoping to find some clue. His desk drawers were meticulously organized, yet something was off. Among the neat files, I found a small envelope, unmarked, tucked behind a stack of bills. Inside was a note in his handwriting, scrawled in haste. "If you find this, they're closer than you think. Don't trust anyone. Start with a safe in the guest room." My pulse raced. Michael had a safe? I had never seen it. I ran to the guest room, scanning every corner until I found a hidden panel behind the bookshelf. The safe was small but heavy, locked with a combination only Michael would know, or so I thought. I tried to remember the numbers he often repeated absent-mindedly. After several failed attempts, I finally unlocked it. Inside were stacks of documents, bank statements, encrypted emails, and photographs of people I didn't recognize. A chill ran down my spine. The photos depicted individuals watching our house, taking notes, and photographing Michael. It was real. Michael wasn't paranoid. He was being hunted. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. Another message from him. "If you're reading this, it's already too late. Follow the instructions, find the evidence, protect it." I realized then that Michael's disappearance wasn't random. Someone wanted him silenced. And now the danger had extended to me. I spent the entire morning going through the documents Michael had left. Each page revealed more than I expected: hidden bank accounts, unexplained transfers, encoded messages. But one photo caught my attention. A street corner I recognized near our local coffee shop, with a hooded figure watching the building. I felt a chill run down my spine. That corner was less than a mile from our home. Whoever had been tracking Michael was close, and they might already be watching me. I decided to return to the coffee shop the next day, pretending to be on a normal errand. I sat in a corner booth trying to appear casual while keeping my eyes on the street. Hours passed, and then I saw him. A man in a dark hoodie, scribbling in a small notebook. His face was partially hidden, but the posture, the deliberate movements, screamed surveillance. I knew then that Michael's warning was real. They weren't just after him. They were after the evidence he had uncovered, and now they were watching me too. I took a deep breath, feeling both fear and determination. I couldn't let them succeed. I had to find Michael, understand the threat, and protect the evidence. As I left the coffee shop, I noticed something tucked under my windshield wiper. A folded piece of paper. My heart stopped. It was another message. "Don't trust the people closest to you. Follow the instructions before it's too late." The handwriting was unmistakably his. The game had begun, and I realized I was already a player. I returned home that evening, my mind racing with the clues Michael had left behind. The messages, the photos, the documents. It all pointed to a larger conspiracy, one I couldn't handle alone. Just as I was about to sit down and plan my next steps, there was a knock at the door. Hesitant, I peeked through the peephole. A man stood there, mid-40s, dressed plainly but with a calm authority that made me pause. He said, "I'm Detective Harris. I've been following the same trail your husband was investigating. I can help." I hesitated. How could I trust a stranger, even one claiming to know Michael's work? But something in his eyes told me he was genuine.
I let him in and explained everything: the messages, the safe, the photographs. He listened carefully, nodding. "You're in danger," he said quietly, "and they won't stop until they get the evidence. But with the right plan, we can protect it and you." Together, we went through the documents, identifying key pieces of evidence that could expose the people hunting Michael. Harris helped me encrypt files, hide physical documents, and even set up discreet surveillance cameras around the house. As night fell, I felt a mix of fear and hope. The intruders were still out there, but I wasn't alone anymore. Harris's presence gave me strength, and for the first time since Michael disappeared, I felt like I had a chance to fight back. Then my phone buzzed. Another message from Michael. "Trust Harris. Protect the evidence. Don't let them win." My hands trembled. The clock ticked closer to 3 a.m., and I realized the next step would be the most dangerous yet.
By midnight, the tension in the house was unbearable. Every creak, every rustle of the wind sounded like an intruder approaching. Harris monitored the cameras from his laptop while I stayed close to the documents, ready for anything. Then, at exactly 12:03 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You can't hide forever. We know where you are." Fear surged through me. Harris instructed me to grab the evidence and move to the basement, where a secure exit had been set up. I raced down the stairs, clutching the letters and documents, my heart pounding. Suddenly, footsteps echoed behind me. Someone had broken into the house. I sprinted, adrenaline fueling every move of mine, barely avoiding the shadowy figure lunging toward me. I reached the basement door and found it blocked. Someone had anticipated my escape. Panic threatened to overwhelm me, but Harris's voice crackled in my earpiece. "Use the side exit. There's a hidden panel near the laundry area." I dove toward it, slipping through just as the intruder reached me. Outside, the cold night air hit my face, and I ran blindly, clutching the evidence. From a distance, I could see Harris coordinating with the police. The intruders were caught in a net we had set up, but my hands were still shaking. The danger wasn't over, but for the first time, I realized I had survived the first major encounter. After the midnight chase, I finally sat down, clutching the documents close. Harris joined me, and together we started to decode the messages fully. What we found made my blood run cold. Michael had uncovered a clandestine organization involved in high-level corruption, people in positions of power who had been manipulating finances, covering crimes, and silencing anyone who got too close. The letters, the photos, and the emails were proof of everything. Every transaction pointed to a network that went beyond our city, extending across the country. The intruders weren't ordinary criminals. They were professionals, trained to erase threats. And Michael had been in their crosshairs long before his disappearance. Suddenly, a document slipped out of one of the envelopes. It was a note in Michael's handwriting. "If anything happens to me, follow the evidence to the safe house. You'll find answers there. Trust no one else." I realized Michael had planned this all along, leaving breadcrumbs to guide me, ensuring that if he was taken, I could finish what he started. Harris and I devised the plan to secure the evidence and alert authorities, but the danger was far from over. Whoever had targeted Michael would not stop until every piece of proof was destroyed, and they knew I now possessed it. I spent the night preparing, moving the documents to a secure location and setting up additional precautions. Every sound, every flicker of the lights made me jump, but determination burned in me stronger than fear. That night, I understood the full scope of the threat, but also the responsibility Michael had placed on my shoulders. I was no longer just his wife. I was the guardian of the truth. The following day, I stayed on edge, constantly checking the cameras Harris had installed. Every noise outside the house set my nerves on fire. Around noon, there was a knock at the door. Hesitant, I peeked through the peephole. A woman stood there, mid-30s, with a determined look in her eyes. She introduced herself as Elena, claiming she had worked with Michael on his investigation. "I've been trying to reach him for months," she said, her voice steady. "When I heard he disappeared, I knew someone was after us both. I can help you protect the evidence and find him." I felt a flicker of hope. Finally, someone who had known Michael and could help me. We sat together, going through the letters and encrypted files. Elena helped decode some of the more complex ciphers, revealing locations and names that Michael had hidden in plain sight. One piece of paper shocked me, a map with the marked location outside the city labeled Safe House. Michael had planned for this.
Whoever was after him knew about his movements, but this safe house was his contingency, a place to hide the evidence and possibly himself. Elena and I quickly devised a plan. We would go to the safe house at night, avoiding main roads and surveillance, to see if Michael had left any clues about his whereabouts. As evening fell, my heart raced with both fear and determination. The intruders were still out there, but now, with Elena's help, I had a chance to uncover the truth and maybe even find Michael. Night fell as Elena and I prepared to leave. The documents were secured in a waterproof, lockable bag, and I carried a small flashlight, heart hammering with anticipation. Harris monitored us remotely, keeping a watchful eye on any potential threats. We drove cautiously, taking back roads to avoid any surveillance. The city lights faded behind us, replaced by the dark silhouettes of trees and abandoned buildings. Every rustle of the wind and snap of a branch made me flinch. After nearly an hour, we reached the location marked on Michael's map, a small, isolated cabin hidden in the woods. The place looked abandoned, but I could feel the tension in the air. Someone had been here recently. Footprints in the dirt and a faint glow of a lantern indicated we weren't alone. Elena whispered, "Stay calm. This is exactly what Michael planned for us. The evidence should be inside." We approached cautiously, unlocking the cabin door to reveal stacks of files, hard drives, and a laptop. Everything Michael had been working on was here. My stomach twisted. The enormity of what he had discovered hit me. This wasn't just a personal threat. The conspiracy extended far beyond our family. As I began to organize the evidence, my phone buzzed. A message flashed on the screen. "I've been waiting for you. Don't make a sound." The hairs on my neck stood on end. Someone knew we were here, and I realized that the real danger hadn't begun yet. It was inside the cabin, waiting. As Elena and I carefully sorted through the evidence, the sound of a door creaking made me freeze. Shadows flickered across the walls, and my heart began pounding uncontrollably. A figure stepped out from the corner, tall, imposing, and masked. My first thought was terror. They had tracked us to the safe house. "I've been expecting you," the intruder said, voice calm but menacing. "You shouldn't have come here." I clutched the bag of documents tightly, knowing that if they took them, all of Michael's work and our lives would be at risk. Elena stepped forward, trying to reason with the intruder, but he moved toward us deliberately. Thinking fast, I grabbed a heavy lantern from the table and swung it. The figure staggered back. In the moment of chaos, I used the distraction to hit the emergency alert button on my phone, alerting Harris and local authorities to our location. Sirens blared in the distance. The intruder froze, realizing escape was impossible. Moments later, police officers stormed the cabin, apprehending the masked figure. I sank to the floor, trembling but relieved, clutching the evidence like a lifeline. Elena whispered, "We did it. We protected everything Michael worked for." But even as relief washed over me, one question lingered. Where was Michael? And was he truly safe? After the intruder was apprehended, the cabin felt eerily quiet. I sank into a chair, exhausted, my hands trembling as I clutched the bag of documents. Elena stayed close, offering silent support. Then, a small envelope slipped out from under the pile of files. It was addressed to me, in Michael's handwriting. My heart skipped a beat as I opened it. Inside was a note. "If you're reading this, I'm safe, for now. I had to disappear to protect you and the evidence. Follow the coordinates on the attached map. Trust no one else." Attached was a GPS coordinate pointing to a remote location a few miles away. Harris confirmed it was likely where Michael had gone into hiding. My heart raced with hope and anxiety. Elena and I quickly drove to the coordinates, careful to avoid being followed. As we approached a small, secluded cabin, a familiar figure emerged. Michael, alive. Exhausted, wary, but alive. "I knew they would come for me," he said softly, embracing me. "I had to disappear to make sure they never got the evidence. You've done more than I could have hoped. You kept it safe." Relief, joy, and a lingering fear washed over me. Michael's disappearance had tested everything: our trust, our courage, and our ability to survive. But together, we had faced the danger, exposed the threats, and survived. That night, as we returned home safely with the evidence and the knowledge that the intruders were in custody, I realized something profound. The world could be dangerous, But love, determination, and courage could conquer even the darkest secrets. And I knew, no matter what the future held, we would face it together, vigilant, prepared, and unbroken.